Today you're going to start practicing several of the embroidery techniques for beginners. You will do the running stitch, back stitch, split stitch, stem stitch, and the French knot. You'll need your practice card, a pair of scissors, your embroidery needle, and some embroidery floss. To begin, you're going to pull some floss from the package. When you do this, pull carefully so we don't get a big knot. You should not have any more than an arm's length worth of floss. If you get more than that, it will become knotted pretty easily. You will thread the floss through the eye of the needle and only pull a small tail out. Beginners sometimes like to try and knot this where the needle is, but this will cause problems. So please just keep the tail long enough so it won't slip out, and do not knot. You will take the long end and tie a double knot. This will keep the floss from pulling all the way through the card, and your loose ends will be behind the actual artwork. There's my double knot. I've pre-poked the holes that I wanted to stitch. This is a much easier way to begin if you know where you're going to be stitching. Poke the holes, make sure that they are not too close. If they're too close, then obviously the card will break and your stitch will not stay. You can see the loose end on the back side. And with the running stitch, you just stitch in one hole. If you pull too fast, sometimes this will knot up, as you can see, so gently pull it apart. And then in and out, and from top to bottom each time. This is the back of my card. As you can see, we have to tie a knot so that way the string does not come out. I'm using one of the stitches to begin my knot. Pull it close, make sure the knot is close to the card. Don't pull too hard or else you will pull through and break the paper. And then we'll do a double knot just to make sure that it's safe and it won't come out. Trim the edge. And there's our split stitch. Rather, that's a running stitch. This next one is called the back stitch. As you can see, I poked the holes before I started stitching. And this one, it's in the name. You'll go through the back side, and then when you go to the next hole that you poked, you just go over, and then when you're underneath, you go back through, so that way it looks like one long stitch. This next one here is our split stitch. As you can see, I'm threading my needle, getting it ready. This one is a little different with the long tail and the short tail because we'll be using two sides of the embroidery floss. So we're going to tie both tails at the very end. They will be the exact same length. Do a double knot just to make sure that it'll stay. These holes I poked a little bit closer. So we're going to come up through the back side. We're going to skip the next hole and go in through the third. This is where the stitch gets its name. You're going to split the two pieces of floss, and when you come up through the back side, you're going to go through the middle of them. This creates an interesting texture in your embroidery. Careful when you pull it through. Skip and then go through the top. Split your floss once again, and then come up through the middle. That's what happens when you pull too fast. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the fourth one that you just watched. That's the stem stitch. And this is a single thread, just like the first two. What you're gonna do is you will skip one, just like you did with the split stitch. So you'll come up the back side of hole 1, down hole 3, and up in the middle, hole 2. And then you will just continue that way. And that also gives it this unique twisting sort of look that you can see on my example. And then finally, the French knot. So you'll start on the back side. This one is a little bit more difficult than everything else that we've done so far, so it takes some patience. When you come up, you're gonna take your needle and you're gonna twist around it once, twice, 2, 3, and 4 times. You're gonna hold your needle as close to the paper as you can, because if you have a lot of room, it will make the knot look messy, and then poke down right next to where your original hole was located. Pull carefully and slowly, and there's your French knot. So we'll do it one more time here. Up through the back, pull it through. Hold your floss with your left hand, and with your right hand you have your needle, and you're wrapping it 4 times. Keep your needle next to your paper. Poke and pull slowly and carefully. Practice this as many times as you feel comfortable. Obviously, the more times you practice, the better you will be whenever you put it on your actual artwork. So this is what it should look like whenever you're officially done. When you have finished your final French knot, please take a picture and submit your photograph on Canvas. Thank you.